Welcome to Rocky Top Wrestling Drunk Wrestling Review. Rocky Top Drunk Wrestling Review. Starring NWA Bobby Mack. Hey everybody, welcome to NWA Wrestling Drunken Wrestling Review. This is NWA Bobby Mack for you, hosting this special episode this week. As we just got the exciting news that Florida State is ranked number 3 in the... Oh, wait a second. This is wrestling, not college football. I could go off on a whole tangent about Florida State not being ranked number 1 this season. But speaking of tangents, let's hear the exciting announcement just said last night by the UFC.
None other than CM Punk. If you are a fan of professional wrestling, you know this man, but your wrestling days are over. You have decided to enter the octagon and fight mixed martial arts professionally.
Yeah, well, I'd say my professional wrestling days are over. I'm sure I'm going to have to do plenty of wrestling in there. It's awesome to be here. It's very awesome to be here.
How long? I know you've been training with Henry and Huron Gracie for quite a while. I know you've been around the UFC for quite a while. How long have you been contemplating this, and what ultimately motivated your decision?
This is something that's been in the back of my mind for a very, very long time. I have a background in Kempo. I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu off and on for a very, very long time. But the idea of being able to step in the octagon and find out what's inside myself and test myself is an opportunity that I was not able to deny myself. I don't think I would have been able to live with myself if I didn't give this a shot.
So is this something that watching guys like Brock Lesnar become very successful in the UFC, seeing all the fights, seeing it live, you just felt like it's now or never? You only have a certain amount of time in this life.
Yeah, I felt like it was now or never. Maybe about 3 years ago, I re-signed with WWE, and I tried to give that the old college try, and it is now or never for me. I have a limited window, just like all fighters do, and I fully intend to get in there, and I'm here for a fight. I'm here to either get my ass kicked or kick somebody's ass.
Now,
So there's the news right there. CM Punk is joining the UFC. Former WWE wrestler CM Punk joining the UFC. So he's going from the scripted professional wrestling over to the UFC fights. It's interesting that Punk is doing this at this point in time in his life, in his career. He's 36 years old, if I'm not mistaken. The guy has always had a bad attitude when it comes to the people in the back. That's the stories that you hear. Always having a bad attitude. So CM Punk decides he's going to take this bad attitude and take it to the UFC. He's already taken his ball from the WWE and gone home, but apparently the UFC is going to be his new home. Recent interviews that he's had on the Colt Cabana podcast, really interesting and insightful about his career and his thought process. One of the things that really strikes me as odd on this is the fact that he was complaining about WWE wrestler Ryback doing some moves that hurt him and took years off of his life, and other actions that he's done in WWE that's taken years off of his life. And that's in scripted professional wrestling. How does he feel a real punch to the face or a kick to the face or knee to the face is going to feel? Like, how does he think that that's not going to take, quote unquote, years off of his life by getting inside the octagon and fighting for real? So, you could compare it, I guess, maybe to Brock Lesnar. You could compare it to Dave Bautista, who's also done this, as well as Bobby Lashley. The big difference between, I guess, Bautista and Punk is, Bautista is a bigger athlete. He had some high school, I believe, football background. Lesnar and Lashley, both collegiate wrestlers, so they've got the wrestling background. CM Punk collects comic books. He's collected comic books in high school. He collects comic books, to this day. Not really the athletic background. Yes, he's amazing in the ring. I give him all the credit in the world for that. But the fact is, he doesn't have a wrestling background in high school. He never collegiately wrestled, from what I understand. He didn't play any other sports. Yes, he's a runner. He's a fitness fanatic. He's an awesome professional wrestler. He can put on the greatest show on earth, as well as talk a good game on the microphone. It's really going to be interesting to see, though, how a bad attitude and a good wrestling style is going to be able to translate into an octagon. And I know they're going to protect him a little bit. They're going to get those UFC buy rates probably up by putting him in there with athletes that are on the same competitive level as him. Brand new to it. But how long will that really last with a 36-year-old man in there, brand new? What happens if he goes in there and he loses right away to somebody who's got the same skill level as him? What does that do to him in his next career adventure? Because you got to look at the possibility of him one day rejoining professional wrestling, and what's that going to say to anybody that's going to book him in the future if he again, the bad attitude goes in the UFC and just realizes he can't do it, he can't make it. How long before he goes to UFC and somebody punches him and he doesn't like it? And he's going to take his ball and go home once again. So CM Punk joining UFC, I think it's a big joke. I think it's a big publicity stunt. Congratulations to UFC for being able to get him over there and do this. But again, I don't see CM Punk being successful in this at all. So hopefully AJ keeps making the money. I've said it once or twice on some other people's Facebook pages or Twitter pages. I hope that the fans start chanting AJ Lee during his fights. I think that would be awesome. Crazy today too, WWE actually put something on their website that said best of luck on your future endeavor, CM Punk. So that was interesting that they actually put something out there. I believe that's what it said. I'm not saying that's the quote verbatim, but it's something like, best of luck on your future endeavor, CM Punk. So they're obviously keeping the window open. The best thing that could happen to WWE probably is him going there and falling flat on his face and them being able to pull him back over to their product, probably where he belongs. Again, CM Punk is an awesome professional wrestler. I'm really, really interested, and I guess that's what UFC's entire decision is get people, curious about CM Punk. Obviously they're still chanting his name in arenas. We're still talking about him. Colt Cabana's podcast blew up last week with him on there. I'm talking about it. Everybody in professional wrestling is talking about CM Punk. So UFC, great job, great coup on getting him over there. Their buy rates, of course, will go up at least once or twice until the man loses or until people just get bored with seeing him go against opponents that are not caliber opponents. Until he gets a big fight in there, I think his buy rate is going to be good the first two, and then that'll be the end. Good luck, CM Punk. And that's all for Rocky Top Wrestling Drunken Wrestling Review for this week. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, RTWRESTLING on Twitter, RTWWRESTLING. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, subscribe.